it might be the same opponent, but every day it's a little different. We just got to turn the page, celebrate tonight, turn the page, and focus on tomorrow.
Buck?
Buck. Yeah, Buck left. She loves Buck.
That is absolutely amazing. Francisco Lindor's daughter.
That's what he does.
I know, right?
He's great. He's great.
And you're great.
Can you imagine walking down the hall and seeing that after you got beat 12-0? Quit taking yourself so seriously.
Manager of the year.
Yeah, that's right. Fourth time.
Hey, speaking of managing, hey, WBC?
I went and shadowed him.
Oh,
You did?
Yeah.
I tried to get him coming to the dugout with us for a game. He goes, oh, no, I don't want to play.
Once a player, always a player. I don't want some stranger sitting in the dugout.
How'd it go? What'd you learn? You can learn a lot.
Honestly, playing for him in Texas for 2 years, that's why I called. He leaves no stone unturned. I mean, it was a steady diet of different people into his office. No. And that's why he's one of the best in the game.
No, but he's got two of my players at least in the WBC, so be nice. Just make sure they come back healthy.
Polar Bear better rake.
McNeil, he showed he can rake.
Yes,
so don't be putting him on the bench now, or you won't have him long.
Hot hand plays. Hot hand plays. Right, franchise?
Oh, 100%.
Well, he's only
100%.
competing with Mookie Betts.
Buck, we love you and we miss you on our set here at MLB Network. Absolutely. Every time I was on this, it's because this guy asks questions and you learn. I mean, you learn from Buck Showalter. But Mets fans are much happier that you are in the Mets dugout and no longer with us at MLB Network. Congratulations on going back there. A great success in year one. How did it feel? I mean, you were out for a few years and then back, and obviously had a talent-laden team and did some good things.
Well, we had good players. I told them at the end that nobody wants to have that conversation when you've lost the last game of the season, or it'd be the playoffs. But I told them I don't think I've ever been around so many players that were good people and good players. They were fun to be around. The guys, if you weren't managing, you'd like to hang out with at night and what have you. And they were just, they stayed in reality. They stayed together. And, the regular season was a reflection of that, because there's so many things that challenge you other than just the game itself, that you don't want to self-inflict things. So you kept talking about, hey, there's going to be enough being thrown at us. Let's don't self-inflict any wounds, okay?
Did you change your style at all?
Oh, God, I
through
hope
the year?
so.
Yeah, well, I just felt like the players were, especially a guy like Lindor, we see him,
took the weight off of him.
He played with just so much freer than the year before.
Yeah, he was ahead of me on it. The conversation I was going to have with him in the spring, he beat me to it. Smart guys like Francisco, they step back, they take a look at things, they go, I think some of the best development of players happens in the offseason, where they get back, they're on the couch at home 2 or 3 weeks later and go, and you just see things clearer. And, I think he understood that New York's just waiting to embrace him. He held the keys to it. The whole thing in New York, and our motto was play better. Play better. Nobody wants to hear all the peripheral stuff. Just play better.
Well, one of the great things that I heard, from a player from the Mets this year, when you mentioned him earlier, was Jeff McNeil, where he said that one of the things that, and I'm paraphrasing here, but that you and the coaching staff kind of laid on him was, he no longer worried about hitting the ball hard. He just worried about hitting the ball where people weren't, defenders weren't.
Yeah.
But that seemed like that was a staple of your team in 2022.
They didn't worry about looking aesthetically pleasing. They wanted to score more runs than the other team after 27 outs. The end game is what you're always after. Nobody's got to tell you how you're doing in the standings. The scoreboard tells you every night. Nobody's got to critique it. Did you win or you lose? At the end of a game, there's a hero and there's a GOAT. And through the bad games, there were some guys that played well. And through the good games, there were some guys that didn't have a particularly good game. So, you're able to stay in the moment. Jeff knew that I think we got what he brought, and we embraced it. Most guys from Long Beach State bring that, I've found out.
All right. So we've hit you with a couple softballs.
I know, yeah. Bring it on. And we're not talking about anybody that we don't have a physical on yet.
I'm going to ask it anyway.
I definitely was going there. He's good.
I'm going to ask it anyway because it's done.
I know, you have to keep
done.
your integrity.
But I'm going to ask you a little bit different.
Okay, I know that.
Opening day starter.
Yeah.
Of
the people we have on the roster currently, Max Scherzer.
Oh, you're unbelievable. Put them
Max
both
didn't
on the
start
roster.
Last year.
You honestly can't speak on Verlander?
Who?
The entire world knows.
We haven't gotten any returns from the things you have to do to finish up.
You've been a media guy throughout your career. I mean, a little bit too. Hold on. Hold on, Buck. So when you heard the news that potentially Justin Verlander was coming, just you don't have to speak on the player, but how did that make you feel that potentially he was on the way?
Well, one thing I knew last year, 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks, Billy reminds me a lot, Epler, that he was only here 2.5, 3 weeks longer than I was. It was very apparent to me that he valued things and players the same way I did. I would have signed the same guy. You know, you're talking about an Escobar, you're talking about a Canna and a Marte and a Scherzer. You know, you embrace the same type of makeup and people that you want around you. So it doesn't surprise me that Billy would have interest in a player like that because not only a track record, but, you know, do you make your teammates better? Not necessarily by the things you say, but just the way you understand the weight your words carry. You don't use them callously. You think about how things reflect on everybody. So I know that at the end of the day, we'll acquire players that hopefully our fans will be proud of.
All right, jumping up that a little bit, you have the number 1 prospect in all of baseball, Francisco Alvarez. You brought him to the big leagues last year. Kind of tough ask. You got his bat in the lineup, but tough ask to catch a pitching staff. When you head down to Port St. Lucie this year, does he get every opportunity to be the opening day catcher?
Well, we've got a couple of really good catchers already in the fold, and James McCann and Tomas Nido. So that's probably, obviously guys that we put above him right now. But the one thing I did like is many guys we had to go down and pitch rehab and whatever, they all came back about how much they like throwing to him. Got good aptitude, very coachable, a sponge. You know, you can talk to him about things that you might want to see him improve, and he's a pleaser. He wants to say, what do I need to bring? I want it. And but I try to keep in mind he's 21 years old, but I also look at it as a piece of clay that you can now mold properly. And our guys have done a great job in the minor league system of working with him. And that's one reason why he's come so quickly. He's a strong young man. He can get it through the zone.
Yeah. You've been at this for a while, and you've been in situations where there weren't high expectations for the team, not necessarily from a managerial perspective, but from a fan base perspective. And then you've managed in situations where, particularly in New York,
bring it.
Win or go home. What are the differences? Does that affect you as a manager managing in New York, where the expectation is, hey, we're trying to compete for a World Series championship every year?
Well, I know the gig. I know the expectations. Don't talk about it. Show me. But I know that works pretty well there. But even wherever you are, even though you may think and everybody says you're in a rebuilding stage, in the back of your mind, you're going to shock the world. Okay, and the thing is you need that little engine that could mentality when you go into a season. Where does the chip come from? Where do you get that edge? Where's the mentality? And that's going to be the challenge for us next spring, is getting that mentality back of, we have something to prove every night.
You talk about high character guys. One of your biggest free agents that could potentially walk out the door would be Brandon Nimmo. How much has he meant to the organization and you? You have to love that kind of player.
He's a baseball player.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about it, Brandon's improved some every year. You keep in mind how little really baseball he had played a lot of, coming out of high school, and just not a whole lot of, not like he didn't play, but he's gotten better every year. He cares. We hope it's us. Somebody's going to get a good baseball player and a good human being. He's good people, and I hope it's with us, but I'm going to wish him well because, baseball should give back to people like him as long as it's affordable. We got to put together a 26-man club, and we got to think about how things play out down the road too. So he understands, we understand, and I know his agents understand.
They don't understand.
Of course they don't. They don't. Do they really care about Buck?
No.
Buck, you win some and you lose some, and we talked about a player potentially who's on the way, not 100% official, in Justin Verlander. But in acquiring Verlander, then you lost Jacob deGrom. What's that going to be like for you to not have, arguably when he's healthy, the best right-handed arm in the game?
It's funny, when he first threw for us in the spring, until you watch a guy on TV and highlights, you watch him maybe from afar, then all of a sudden you go sit in the dugout. and you go, okay, I got it now.
Right.
Oh, okay, I got it. That's filthy, But, first of all, contrary to popular belief, Jake wasn't preordained, was going to go. Or he loved New York. He liked the things, and I think it hurt him that he ended up the way the whole thing worked out, that it just, they made him an offer he couldn't refuse. And I respect that, and we do, and we wish him well, and we'll be pulling for Jake DeGrom except when he plays us. I hope his turn doesn't fall against us, and I hope he stays healthy. I hope he pitches. The good Lord didn't intend you to put your arm over your head and jerk it down violently 100 times every fifth day. You're going to have some issues, but, I hope it works out for Chris Young and the Rangers, because I know a lot of people down there, and, we've got to move on, and we've got to do things because we're charged with making the Mets a good team.
I've been told we have some breaking news here on Twitter, so we'll see if we can get out. Anthony DiComo covers the Mets for MLB.com. Huge news in Mets land. Mets have signed their
Tell them how
replay
big
analyst.
this is.
No,
Harrison
Buck,
Friedland with a
trust me,
contract
there's not
extension.
much bigger information that comes out in Harrison.
He's serious.
No, this guy's the heat, man.
He led the league, right?
He's as good as it gets. You know what he does better than anybody else? He goes, listen, he's probably out, but they won't overturn that. There's not enough evidence. Don't waste it. And he's not one of those fence sitters. Ooh, Buck, that's a tough one. I don't know. You could go either way there. No, I need yes or no.
Right.
Black and white.
Right.
We're not living on the fence here with the barbed wire. Come on.
Right.
No, he's fun. During the season, and he can really operate the machinery because he's looked at 5 or 6 replays before you picked up the phone. And you got 18 seconds. Trust me, by the time
and
they
it's
get
moving
over
fast, I'm sure.
Oh, you think it moves fast upstairs? You should be in the dugout.
Right.
Don't tell me that.
Hey, it moves real fast, D-Roll. That game's going to move real fast. When you bring that guy in, be thinking about the next guy
I'm
coming in.
bringing Mikey Young with me.
Oh, Lord. You got that's good. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Good one. He'll have an opinion, and a good one.
Buck, always great to see you. I wish you nothing but success.
Hey, keep the seat warm, Bill.
No chance. No chance. You're staying in that Mets dugout.
No, I'm having a great time. I tell you, the people, it's a good organization, solid people. The fans have been great.
Awesome. All right, Buck Showalter joining us and going back in time, and one of our MLB Network colleagues. So we'll take it.